Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. This is the first spiritual, spiritual light in 2023. Okay. So we should keep this moment and in 10 years at time, let's see how we are, where we are. So good to have everyone here. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And I hope everybody had a great uh, holiday season. And today's topic is the time has come. So what it does mean, we will see. We will talk about it. So, Fayute, my Irish friends, and let's start with Elsa. Take the opportunity. You're okay.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is our wonderful moment that together we are, as I said before, we are a book that we are writing every week something good towards ourselves. You, Rodrigo, Stevan, Charles, Silvia, everyone that is doing something good, especially disseminating good knowledge, good teachings from Jesus, we are really writing our book of life. So, welcome everyone and enjoy, stay with us and say to your friends, forward the link to your friends and be with us in this wonderful moment now. Thank you so much and God bless you all.
Great, Miss Gibbons. We missed you last week.
Hello, good evening. I missed everyone as well last week, but I couldn't talk two words together. But I'm fine now today, thank goodness. So wishing everyone to begin a very blessed new year. And let's hope that each and every one of us be blessed with some peace and tranquility and health. And, a lot of courage and determination. So we have a new year. It's almost unbelievable how quick last year went. So let's use every moment, to do something positive and good. And it's good to be back again. So just wishing everyone and going to speak about the future, which is something very important, being at the beginning of the new year. And now with the celebration of the anniversary of the publication of this wonderful book, we, have lots to learn and lots to do as well. So welcome everyone and much peace. Boa noite, boa tarde a todos. Maravilhoso estarmos novamente com vocês nesse começo de ano, falando sobre o futuro, falando sobre o livro Gênesis, que faz aniversário da publicação, e esperando que Deus nos abençoe com muita paz, com muita tranquilidade para o ano que começa, e muita saúde, muita paz a todos. Bem-vindos.
Great. Let me see. My friend Charles. Ça va bien?
Ça va, bonjour, meilleurs vœux à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous pour parler de ce qui nous attend dans le futur. Hein. Tout le monde veut le savoir et puis on a quelques idées sur le sujet avec l'aide des esprits. Donc c'est ce qu'on va essayer de vous expliquer aujourd'hui. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy New Year for all of you. All the best wishes to 2023 for you, your families. Health above before anything, and today very happy to be with you again to talk about the future. Where are we going to? One of the fundamental questions a lot of people are interested in, and we will try to bring some elements of reflections on this. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you. Buenas noches, Rodrigo.
Buenas noches, Stevan. Buenas noches a todos. Buenos días, buenas tardes. Bienvenidos. Este es el primer Spiritual Light de 2023. Entonces, feliz año a todos. Que tengamos todos un año de paz, que es lo que más necesitamos para este año, por todo lo que estamos pasando. Paz, salud, ¿no? Y perseverancia para que podamos seguir actuando en el bien y también difundiendo el espiritismo, las enseñanzas de Jesús, para que todos podamos tener un poco más de fraternidad en este mundo, que es uno de los tópicos que hablaremos hoy aquí también. ¿No? Bienvenidos a todos entonces, muchas gracias. Thank you all for being with us tonight. This is our first Spiritual Light of 2023, so Happy New Year to all of you, to all of us. This year we hope we can, let's pray to get a year of peace, and health, and may God bless us all to have a wonderful 2023 of great progress in all aspects of our lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you all. Thank you, Beatriz Gilles. It is with us. And as Silvia mentioned and Elsa mentioned, this week is an important week because on the 6th of January, we will celebrate 155 years of publishing the book Genesis. At the end of our show today, we will dedicate more time to talk about the Genesis, but this is why we are celebrating here. Okay, let me share my screen and we go to our video.
Imagine if you could put together the definitive dream team, including even stars from the past, all in the best possible shape. Oh, and most importantly, under the best coach ever. It was a team like this that Kardec had at his disposal to organize the Spiritist teachings. Apostles, visionary scientists, and great philosophers working together on the same project. And with the advantage that they are all in the spiritual world, that is, with their intellectual and moral resources maximized. Away from earthly passions and led by Jesus, this team of superior spirits instructed Kardec not to waste time on mysticisms and controversies, focusing his efforts entirely on what would constitute the basis for more harmonious and happy civilization, the transforming moral content of the gospel.
For humankind in particular, this code is a rule of conduct embracing all circumstances of private and public life. It's the principle for all social relations founded on strictest justice. It is finally, and above all, the infallible path to the happiness to come, a corner of the veil lifted regarding the future life. It is this part that is the sole object of this endeavor.
For more studies and research material, go to www.spiritistacademy.com. Imagine if you could put together the...
Okay. Okay. So, as we said at the beginning, our topic today is the time has come. And what I have to say here is not my words. This is on the Spiritist Review from October 1866. It's saying, it's not Spiritism that creates social renewal. It is the maturity of humanity that makes this renewal a necessity. Due to its moralizing power, progressive tendencies, the breadth of its views and generality of the issues it covers. Spiritism is more than any other doctrine able to support the regenerating movement, which is why it is contemporary. He came when he could be useful because the times have come for him to. Sooner, it would have ins- insurmountable encountered many obstacles. It would inevitably have succumbed because men, satisfied with what they had, did not yet feel the need for what it brings. Today, born with the movement of fermenting ideas, it finds the ground prepared to receive it. Tired of doubt and uncertainty, terrified of the abyss that opens up before them, the spirits welcome it as a life and supreme consolation. The times marked by God have arrived, and we are told from all sides which great events will take place for the regeneration of humanity. So, the time has come. Everyone say, be afraid of these. The time has come. Most of people think about something bad is going to happen, but it is true or not. This is why I'm going to ask my friend Charles, in what sense are these prophetic words should be understood?
Ah, good question, Stevan. Thanks a lot for it. Yes, I mean, we hear a little bit everywhere. Huh? All the spiritualist movement, that something is changing, this notion of time has come, we hear it everywhere. One say it's Aquarius era, the other one say it is, for instance, the end of the Maya calendar. The other one are still having another definition. Everybody is somehow feeling that something is changing. And of course, Kardec treated this subject very clearly. It's basically the last chapter of the last book he has published, as Silvia told, the Genesis, 155 years ago now. And this section 18 is exactly entitled of the subject of today, The Time has come. So now we have to understand, to try to understand better what it means. Does it mean that we will have a natural cataclysm? No, nothing like that. These are this idea from the apocalypse and stuff like that. That is not how it will happen, as what the spirits informed to Allan Kardec. What we can see is basically we are all following the law of evolution, including our planet. The Earth is evolving. We as incarnated spirits and as spirits are evolving as well, between the incarnated state and the desincarnated states. We are always evolving and progressing. And what we can see in our Earth, if we let's just go 155 years ago at the time of Kardec. Kardec was clearly writing at that time already. Up to now, the humankind has made huge progress due to their intelligence. They found a lot. They achieved a lot of results which were never achieved before. So imagine 155 years ago, there were no electricity. There was no electricity. There were no even automobiles, cars, only pushed by horses and stuff like that. The trains were already starting. So that was considered as being a huge progress. Imagine today, we have cars everywhere. We have airplanes. We can travel from one side to the other of the world in some hours. We can make these lives as we are doing now, thanks to the internet, to the computer and everything. So nothing of this was existing at the time of Kardec. So today we can see that this material progress is much, much, much more advanced still. So what? What is the time has come for what? For even more progress as we had, for sure. Technologically, scientifically, the intelligence will continue progressing. But yet, there is some progress we still have to do. And Kardec is clearly writing, is this progress, which is yet still today, 155 years later, a little bit behind the material progress, is to make charity, fraternity, and solidarity reign amongst us in order to assure our moral well-being. And as we have seen in the video, as you have also correctly told, Stevan, at the beginning, we still have wars. The fraternity is far from being a reality here in our world. We see still a lot of selfishness, pride. We still see a lot of people who do not even have the necessary for the basic needs: food, water, a roof, a house. And this everywhere, even in the so-called developed countries. You have people, homeless people living in the street. And now, okay, how will then this progress come? How will this happen? Will it be a revolution? A lot of people dying? Well, no. Cataclysm? Probably not. We had some cataclysm. We had earthquake, tsunami. We had the COVID. We had and we still have the wars killing quite some people. So this will continue happening. Hopefully not so much anymore, because this will be the aspect that will probably reduce at least the wars or all these cataclysms which are provoked by human being. They hopefully will reduce, and the solidarity and the fraternity will increase. And so when we project us today now, in 2023, what are we seeing? We're seeing global warming. We are here east of France with 16 Celsius in the night of the 31st to the 1st of January. So it's a temperature that we should have in April, May, but not in December or January. So clearly there are some signs coming and seeing. We, as I told you, we can travel from one side to the Earth of the other side to the other side of the Earth in a couple of hours. You have airplanes crossing the sky everywhere. If you look a map, or you only look to the sky when you see this how to say, exhaust gas condensation of the airplanes, you see airplanes everywhere. But is it really sustainable? No, clearly not. Today we are slowly but surely understanding that the way we are living this last century, and in particularly this last decade, is not sustainable. Everything was always based on the fact that the resources of the earth are unlimited, including our economical system is wrongly based on the hypothesis that the resources of the earth are unlimited, and so that the growth of the economy should be constant, and if the growth is stabilizing or maybe even reducing with recession, it's already catastrophic. But we should really think about a little bit better, because the resources of the earth are not unlimited. We can see that oil, gas, this type of resources, now we can see lithium or some other resources to make electrical cars, are dramatically reduced already. The resources are quite limited. We are already have consumed more than half of it, only in a couple of decades. what the nature has used hundreds of millions of years to fossilize in the earth. We burned everything in a couple of decades, in a century, and put all this carbon back to the atmosphere. And now we see the consequences: global warming, increase of the sea level, and so on. So I don't want to be catastrophic here, but clearly this is explaining us we have now to change. Okay, we have to go to a more sustainable way of living. We can travel in much leaner ways than, for instance, a football player to go to Paris, from Paris to Nantes. They go in private jets. Of course, they have the money to do it, but is it really fair? Is it really sustainable? No, clearly it is not. And we receive now this help. So the times have coming that we are slowly but surely get the conscience that it cannot continue like that. So this will drive us and push us, hopefully, to go to this more fraternity, more solidarity, to have leaner ways of living. We see these movements of vegan and whatever growing a lot everywhere. So this is also some signs of the time, that the times have come. As we can see today, corresponding exactly to what Kardec and the spirits announced 155 years ago. So, of course, we must all tighten a little bit our belt. We must cut a little bit of all what is superfluous. We must satisfy ourselves to what is really necessary. We have to or even reevaluate a lot of things that we think are absolutely necessary, but that are maybe not so necessary or may not be possible anymore in the near future. So the way is, let's go that way by our willing, by our goodwill, by our fraternity, our solidarity, and not wait that the situation becomes much, much worse and that we are somehow falling from our clouds back to the earth and having a painful, suffered, mandatory change. So let's go in a controlled way, because no illusion, there will be fights, there will be a lot of people willing to keep their privilege against the people who don't have the necessary, but it will not take long. All of us, we will become conscious that the only sustainable solution for the future of the humanity on the earth, for the survival of the humanity on the earth, is love, fraternity, solidarity, and charity. And with this, we will get and we will do miracles for sure. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Yeah, the time has come, and the first thing come up to our mind is the end of the world, but it's not that. It's not like we have to see it. We have a lot of comments here. Thank you for the comments, Ebony Paris, Marco Davis. Thank you for your comments, my friends. Thank you. So then we go to Rodrigo. We already learned today that the time has come is nothing bad. It is just the process of progress, of evolution of the humankind. What are the obstacles against this progression?
Okay. So thank you, Stevan, for the question. I think we should start with what Charlie said, what's in this chapter of Genesis. Kardec mentioned, as Charlie said, so that what will be marking or what be very noted or noticed in the regeneration era is the sentiment of fraternity, solidarity, and charity. Okay, so all of this together is thinking about not only myself but what is surrounding me. So this fraternity thinking is what can I do to help my brother and my sister? So what can I do to help others to be, uh, let's say, well and good, not only me. So, and having said that, the greatest obstacle for this is mentioned by the spirits in the spirits book in the question 785, when Kardec asks the spirits, what's the greatest obstacle to progress? And then the spirits say, pride and selfishness. So, which is totally the opposite of fraternity and solidarity. Okay, so this is the answer, the pure answer. But why? Why is this an obstacle? And then if we go to the Spirit's book, in the introduction, in its chapter 6, Kardec says, they, the spirits, teach us that selfishness, pride, and lust are passions that drag us down to our animal nature, keeping us enslaved to matter. So, and then he says that those on earth who free themselves of matter through their disregard of worldly frivolities and who cultivate love for their neighbor draw closer to their spiritual nature. So, what Kardec is saying here is that as soon as we don't get rid of our selfishness and pride, we don't get rid, or we don't, let's say, eliminate the influence of matter in our lives, because we get closer to our animal nature, whilst we should go and we should aim our future to our spiritual nature. So if I go to spiritual nature, why fraternity, solidarity is close to spiritual nature, and why selfishness and pride is close to the animal nature? And then we should go, and in many aspects of the Spirit's book, we have the answer to these questions. But first of all, let's talk about passions. So one of the things that comes out of this selfishness and pride are the passions. So the passions in the question 908. All the passions have their principle in a sentiment or need of nature. Therefore, the principle of the passions is not evil, because it rests upon one of the providential conditions of our existence. Passion per se is the exaggeration of a need or sentiment. It is the excess and not in the cause. And such excess becomes evil when it results in some kind of evil. Okay, so we are talking about passions. So what happens? Then let's come back a little bit of our evolution. We are talking about progress. We are talking about the time has come, but let's talk about the time which passed, okay? Because we are all an evolution of the spiritual principle, okay? So we are all evolving and progressing from that. And we are the next step of the progress of the spiritual principle when it is in the animals. So when we are the spiritual principle it's in the animals. So we have some free will to decide certain things, but the Spirit says that as animals we are ruled, or we are, let's say, guided by the instincts. So let's say we have some choices, but we have not all the choices. We have some choices which are basically linked to our material needs. So we can choose when to eat, we can choose when to sleep, we can choose when to run away, or when. So all of these choices are linked to our, let's say, survival, need of survival. Okay, when we move to our human as spirits, when we become spirits and we become humans, what we have as differently from the animals, we have our free will, we have our capacity to choose, our capacity to think, or to how can I say, to figure out things or to imagine. Imagination is a capacity of humankind because animals cannot imagine. So this, we have consciousness about our existence, and therefore we can choose much more in a much bigger scale than what we did when as animals. When we do this, uh, we end up uh, facing our instincts, but we are also developing our consciousness about pleasure. We are how can I say, like a child with a new toy which is completely amazing. So, and therefore we end up not eating anymore just because we need to keep our body working. We eat because we want to have pleasure with that. So, and this is because this is about many things. Okay. As a consequence of this, we have a blend, a mixture of feelings, a mixture of intelligence. So we now have free will, but we are still ruled by instincts, which are self-protecting instincts, like in selfishness and pride is a kind of instinct of self-protection. So if you get a dog and the dog is eating something and we get closer to the dog and the dog and we put our hands on its food, so we know what happens, don't we? So the dog bites us because it's trying to protect what they have, because they need to. They don't have this feeling of sharing. They have the instinct, I need to protect my food, I need to protect what is good for my body. So this is material related. When we become spirits, we need to fight against that. And selfishness, we should fight against that. And we should learn something which is very important, which is love. Love is the sentiment which becomes present as humans, because it's our care for others. So we feel or we notice that we are together, we are linked, and we need to think about other people. We need to think about what I do and if I do harm to other people. So I cannot think about that if I keep myself selfish. I cannot be charitable, or I cannot be, how can I say, fraternal if I'm selfish. And this fraternity is what is present in the spiritual life, because the spiritual life is not influenced by the matter. I mean, in a bigger scale, when we are, let's say, purified or evolved. And that's what we need to know. We need to resist to this influence of matter, to become more fraternal, and to know how to live in a let's say, in the spiritual life. So this is an exercise. So, and therefore we need to purify ourselves from selfishness, from pride, in order to visualize, in order to see what is in the future, what expects us in the spiritual world. So that's basically what the spirits are saying us very frequently in the spirits book. In the question 912, the Kardec asks, what's the most effective means of fighting the predominance of the corporeal nature, which is our animal nature? Let's say this way. They say practicing self-denial. And practicing self-denial is, when we do that, we act like teachers, let's say this way. Why? Because the spirits say in the spirits book that selfishness, sometimes we are selfish because others are selfish with us. So we tend to fight something against the same thing. So this is how can I say a normal consequence of in our first stages in our human life, that to fight selfish against selfishness. Why? Because if someone is protecting what they own or what they have, and this person is not sharing with me, I need to care and do the same for me, because I will be without anything. But if I have an example coming from someone which is, let's say, practicing this self denial, I learned that, okay, I don't need to be so selfish, because there are other people who think about me and who is also caring for me. So when we do that, we tend to disseminate, or we tend to spread this consciousness, and we act like teachers. That's what the spirits say to us. So in the future, in this regeneration world, or when we pass through this transformation, fraternity will be present, and selfishness will be reduced substantially. And therefore, what we'll be having is, I don't need to think so much about me. I don't need to think so much about getting food, or protecting my food, or protecting what is mine, because if I need something, I know that I can count on the other person to help me on that, and the other person will be like helping me in this sense. So this sentiment will be there. So, and if we want to get to this stage, we need to start practicing it now. Each one of us. We need to be agents of this transformation. We need to be agents of the transformation to the regeneration world. So this is what the spirits they are saying. So we need to fight that. Um, so, and therefore, when we do that, when we practice fraternity, when we practice solidarity, when we get rid of this selfishness and this pride, we'll be practicing the law of, justice, love, and solidarity and charity. Why? Because justice is protecting the rights of each one. So justice, if we are practicing the justice, we are thinking about others when we know our limits, and we don't harm other people, but we also help the other person, which is a love sentiment. And charity is a consequence of love. So it's love put in practice. So if we are fraternal, if we are practicing solidarity, we are practicing the law of justice, love, and charity. So as a consequence, or answering, going back to the first question, or after talking about all of this stuff, so we need to fight against our animal nature. We need to get closer to our spiritual nature. By doing that, we need to fight against selfishness, which is the greatest, let's say, villain of this, preventing us from progressing and to go faster in the direction of the regeneration world. I think that's what I would like to say.
Thank you, my friend. Yes, it's everything is on us. Everything it's based in our efforts, in our willpower to move on. But anyway, this is something we have to learn, and we have to stay connected. So thank you, having a lot of friends here. Ruben de los Santos from Uruguay, thank you for joining us. Marco is still giving us a lot of insights. Thank you, Marco. And Miss Gibbons, we are talking here about two different, let's say, stages, or two different situations. One is the incarnated or material world. The other one, it is the spiritual world, the invisible world, so the world of spirits. It is correct to affirm that there is a identity between the incarnated and the discarnated being.
Okay, I'd like to have a clarification of the question, though, if I may. What are you saying? A spirit, an individual spirit, or are you relating to all the spirits, the
No,
incarnate
I'm
spirit?
saying what it is the common point in a spiritual and in a material world. What is the common point?
Okay, well, I think the common point is that whether we are incarnate or discarnated, we are spirits. So that's the common denominator in everything, because we are spiritual beings living
That's it.
in an corporeal life. So there is no difference in that sense. And so basically, the way the Spirit teaches us is that we have three bodies. We have a physical body, that's the one we live in the world, in the material world, in the visible world. Then we have a spiritual body, which is a kind of covering for a spirit, because it's the only way that the spirit can can be manifest into a physical body is through the spiritual body. And then we have a spirit. I mean, this is very basic because we know there are many more bodies, the mental body, bio body, and all that. But this is basically, so when we are incarnated, we have a material body that we can manifest, we talk, we live in this world. So when we die, or better, when a physical body dies, it decomposes. The part of the vital principle, which is what life is, returns to the natural source of the universe. The body is completely destroyed. The molecules are destroyed. And, whatever it goes to. And then we have the physical body that we live in the spiritual world. And this spiritual body, which actually has always been known. This is not something that comes with Spiritism, which is very, very important, because I think the only thing that we can with Spiritism is the logical explanation for this. But, in other cultures, it's called the astral body, it's called the cheese. In ancient Egypt, they had the ba and they had the ka. With the ka was what this spiritual body is, but also the spiritual body is matter in a different vibrating in a different level, but it's still matter. The only thing that is pure spirit is intelligent principle, which is very important to understand that. And of course, in Paul, in some Pauls, he also calls the spiritual body, which is that the body that is in sort of between the two ones. Of course, when we go to the spiritual world, we leave a physical body behind, and we go to the spirit, but we continue to be the same person because we are the same spirit. So what changes is what we learn here. So every time we are incarnated in this planet is a time for opportunity, for learning, for development, for growth, because there are things we can only learn here. And so that's why life on earth is like a school that we come to. And and it depends very much on what we do here, how much we work, because I think the term is school is very relevant, really, because it is a school. If we are in school, if we work hard, we have good marks, we go through, pass on, and we go through, and we get our diplomas and everything, and we have achievement, and it's the same thing in the physical way. So, but here we learn but spiritual things as well. And I think being mentioned by Rodrigo and Charles quite a lot, the question of learning charity, learning to live with each other, fraternity, because it's a survival. I think Rodrigo mentioned it. We cannot, human beings are gregarious. We need one another to survive. Of all the animals on earth, the human person is the one who depends on the mother for the longest time for their survival. And I think this goes as well because we learn from each other, we learn from one another. And I think this is an important thing to learn. I know I'm coming towards, and that is Elsa still to speak, but I just like to say, to read something that comes from, the chapter 18 of the Genesis. If you haven't read, please do. It's very eye-opening. There's lots to learn there. But I found that when he says here, the time has come, it's a sign of times. It does not mean a disruption of the laws of nature, but their fulfillment. That everything in creation is in harmony. And I think this is important because sometimes people start talking about the end of the world. The world's going to end. It's going to be a lot of terrible things. It's going to great cataclysm, and they have been. Many people have died in the past. But human and other animals as well have survived. Some have supplanted and overcome. Those who didn't have to, they've gone. But this is very important. There is going to be a total destruction. I think total destruction would only come by man himself, with the crazy weapons that we have created throughout the time in history. But with God, everything is harmony. So we're learning from one another. There is just another point as well that I want to conclude on, in that he says, everything progresses. It's the physical, there is a transformation of the elements, and morally is the purification of the spirits, with fraternity being the cornerstone of social order. And everything is founded on faith. That's the foundation of the future. Because he said, and faith in the fundamental principles that everyone can accept: God, the soul, and the future, and the progress of individuals in perpetuity, and the relationship between them. I think this is very important. So when all peoples are convinced that God is the same for all, that God is supremely just and good, and that everything that is evil comes from humans, and when they regard one another as children of the same Father and accept one another, all barriers, social class, religion, creed, color, everything will be relegated to the past. And this change is the maturity of humanity that's creating the social renewal. So every time we reincarnate on this world, we go back, we learn some things, and we become more mature, learn more. And it's this maturity of humanity that's calling for the change that is going through now. And I know that when you listen to news, when you talk about things, it's very easy to become very despondent. But I feel that important to say here that we have to have faith in the future, faith in ourselves, because we are the ones who are going to do it. It seems very crazy, some of the things we see nowadays. It's quite perplexing. A lot of imposition of people's truth on everything. And this is going to pass as well, because there is only one truth, and it's God's truth. And we are the children of God. And if we can learn to accept one another, that we're going to be not only a future, but a beautiful future and a great future. And it depends on us to create it. So that's all I have to say. Sorry, Elsa, I must have spoken a lot.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Wow.
It's giving me insights to my time now.
Good. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. My dear Elsa, Can we say that respect among each other it is the first step towards evolution?
Certainly, yes, because you only evolve when you have consideration for your life and the life of others. I can say that evolution is linked with education. Respect is associated directly as well with education. Charles mentioned in the beginning all virtues that leads us toward evolution. Clearly, Rodrigo strongly spoke about selfishness, and Silvia brought to us about the cultures understands. Everything we learn is here. Work hard, good marks, diplomas to achieve our understands. About charity, fraternity, that is the only way. So in the book Genesis, that I'm amazed every day that I read something, and especially as I said, I invited you all to read this chapter, and Silvia invited as well, in order really to see how updated the spirits are, how updated Kardec is, and says the time comes, however, will not entail a partial change, a renewal limited to a certain area, people, or race. It will be a universal movement that will operate in the same of moral progress. It says as well in the number 17, fraternity must be the cornerstone of the new social order. Silvia mentioned as well. However, there can be no true, solid, and effective fraternity unless it rests upon an unshakable foundation. That foundation is faith, not faith in these or those particular dogmas, which change with the times and peoples who cast stones at one another. Because by anathematizing one another, they feed hostility, but faith in the fundamental principles that everyone can accept: God, the soul, the future. So, of course, the ongoing progress of individuals and the perpetuity of relationship among them can be really the position that I evolve, my evolution will be when the entire planet evolve together. I am a part of it. So in this phase that we are now, is like a samsara wheel. Come and go, and the planet is in the phase of transition. Transition for good, again, evolving from the trial and attunements to the world of regeneration. That is not like that. Is slowly, as the beginning, as Charlie said, is slowly, but at the end of the certain time, the results will be good. No more bad, ignorant spirits will incarnate in this planet. Only good ones, the masters that will help the entire humanity evolve. And of course, the ignorant ones, the bad ones, the murders, the selfishness, they will discarnate and reincarnate in another planet in the same level as our planet is now. So that is something that is very important because I am the change that I want the world be changed. So I start myself with education, learning about charity, but not the charity only material. But we spoke today with someone that I think was someone from Cyprus that they don't have material needs to give to people because people has everything. But what most important, give the charity, moral charity towards the ones in need, suffering because someone is in prison, someone is in hospital, that we can see with their eyes and ears properly to help other people in order to help myself. This is the moral education that we need the most in our days, especially politicians. But is the way that We have to have our world in the face that our world is. Thank
Yeah.
you, Steven.
Thank my dear. Thank you. Right on time. Okay. Time has come. It is important. It is inevitable. Progress means always forward. We will never give a step back. And regardless our will or our wish, it's gonna happen. And according what Rodrigo said, you need to watch yourself. You need to watch your pride and your selfness. Once we have these balanced and aligned with respect for anyone opinion, anyone choices, anyone way to say, we will become more evolved, and then we are in a situation in which we will evolve. So thank you for inputs, my friends. Do you have anything to add? Do you want to add anything?
I would like to add something, Stephen, that came to my mind now, that
Yeah.
in this time, more than ever, it's very important to be faithful. So that's what will differentiate us. So we need to be faithful. We need to have faith and trust God that nothing is done by chance. So everything is very well organized by the supreme and divine, like conscience, by the divine and supreme intelligence. So nothing is out of place. Everything is very well placed.
Yeah.
And we need to trust God that everything will be just fine. Sometimes we need to, in order to have this transformation, we need to pass through something which sometimes is a little bit painful. Sometimes um, and there are some like discomfort, but everything is for a good purpose, and everything is on the hands of God. So no other hands would be better than His ones to do that. So let's be faithful and trust Him, and do our part, our portion in this. But let's trust that He is watching everything, and nothing is, let's say, nothing is coming to an end. Everything is passing through a transformation. It's only that.
Okay, thank you. And as we said at the beginning, Charles, you have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to say something about the book Genesis, the last book from Kardec, which is completing on the 6th of January, 155 years.
Yes, 2 minutes is a little bit short, but okay, let's try to do. So it is the last book written by Kardec. It was not the last one he intended to write. He had other projects, of course, but the Genesis really is the book where we can see the essence of the thoughts of Allan Kardec. A big part of the book has been written by himself, and really it is where his ideas were most mature, most profound, more clear. He's coming back on some points he treated elsewhere in the codification, but with much more depth. For instance, the character of Spiritist revelations, the question of God, the role of the science, and then also all this communication he received with the help of the astronomer Camille Flammarion about the creation of the solar system and so on. Then also all this spiritual genesis, amongst others, of course. The second part of the book is writing about miracles, so showing that the power of God is proven by the accomplishment of the natural laws and not by their suspension. In other terms, this means that the spiritist, as for the spiritist, the miracle do not exist. What we call miracle today is something that can be explained tomorrow. Kardec is also writing about the fluids. So he wanted to publish another book about magnetism, mesmerism, but did not succeed to do it. Nevertheless, when we want to understand a little bit about healing and all this phenomenology linked to the fluids, it is also one of the best sources. And then he's coming with these chapters about prediction. How can some person have the faculty to see what will happen in the near future? And also these sections that we commented today a little bit, very superficially, because it's also very deep, is the time has come. So all this is what you can find in this last book, the Genesis. It's maybe not the first one you should start with, because it's a little bit, how to say, as I tell, profound. But certainly, if you really want to know who was Kardec, up to which level his thoughts have gone, it is absolutely mandatory to read it as well.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. So, everybody thinking on Kardec on Friday, 6th of Jan. So, let's go to our announcements here. Next week, our topic is the announcement of the Consoler. 11th of January, 9 p.m. Also, we will have a series of talk given by Charles about Gabriel Delany.
The first one was given by me.
Yeah, the first one, the first one was given by you. Then we're gonna have Alexandre Caldini, Caroline Correia, Daniel Assis, Faye, Flávio Zanetti, Humberto, Rafael Caldas, Roberto Watanabe, Shane Martini, Vanessa Celon. So the first episode is what it was already done. You can find these on Spiritist Society of Ireland YouTube or Buzz YouTube, Kardec Radio YouTube page as well. And this initiative from the SSL, Elsa, Spirit Center for Peace. What is SSL initiative?
Spiritist Center for Peace and Paz.
Peace and Paz. Okay, great. So anyway, thank you very much for this. It's good to know all these good things about Gabriel Delany. So Guilherme Diaz it's working on the study of the book Nosolar every other Tuesday and from 8 to 9 p.m. And Zoom is a closed group meeting, so the Zoom details it's on our screen, so please write it down in order to join this study. Also, Guilherme, Munir, and Charles, every Saturday, 10:30 a.m., they are giving a study of the book Medium's Book. Also, is a closed group, so please write down the link in order to attend this study. Every other week, we have conversations on mediumship with Guilherme Caldas and Rafael Diaz at 8:30 p.m. And this is it from us today. Thank you very much, my friends. Thank you, Rodrigo. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you, Sol, for your participation. He wants to say bye. See?
Of course.
He wants to say bye. Hello to everyone. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week at 9 p.m. London time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hasta luego.